Let's talk more about this now with CNN military analyst, retired Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton. Thank you so much for taking us through this here. Why is this attack that we are seeing different than other ones?
Well, I think one of the big things, Brianna, is the fact that the way in which they've put everything together. You've got 18 drones that are going one way. Their sole mission is to blow up the things that they're targeting. Then you have cruise missiles and one ballistic missile. So what this means is that they're coordinating their actions. This has all the hallmarks of Iran guiding the Houthis in a way that allows them to put these coordinated attacks together. The fact that it was a coordinated attack means that it's much more sophisticated than the attacks that occurred before.
When we hear something has gotten bigger, you know, this is the biggest attack we've seen yet. When you look at the broader zone of conflict here, and we have these concerns about this escalating into a broader conflict, what are you keeping an eye on?
I'm keeping an eye on all of the different things, especially not only in the Red Sea right here, Brianna, but also what's happening in Gaza, of course, what's happening on Israel's northern border, because Hezbollah is sitting right up there in southern Lebanon, plus what's going on in the West Bank. But then there's a broader picture to look at as well, and that's what's happening in places like Iraq and Iran, where the U.S. can get heavily involved in what's going on in Iraq as well as in Syria. Plus, of course, there's the domestic issue that Iran seems to be dealing with ISIS and with all of the other different regime challengers that are out there in Iran. So all of this is really an explosive tinderbox, and it could very well become quite a major issue for us on several different fronts.
You mentioned Gaza here. Let's take a look. If we can, actually, this is the IDF in Gaza. Let's take a look at the damage analysis that we're seeing. All of the red is the damage from the war. We see some in the south, right? You're seeing that forward. And do you think that we're going to see a lot more red on the map, or is that going to be minimized?
So one of the key things to think about with this map is the red stuff is everything that occurred up until December 24. The yellow stuff that you see right here, these yellow dots, that is new damage that occurred up to January 5th. So we're going to see a lot of yellow and red in all of these different areas. Of course, as you pointed out, what happened in the north was really the very first thing that the Israelis concentrated on. But notice what's going on in Khan Yunis. Even today, we have a lot of reports from the Israelis that there are attacks going on here, that they are concentrating their efforts in all of these different areas. And the idea here is to root out the remnants of Hamas as they had moved from the north into the central part and into the south. So I think in all of these different areas, you're going to see attacks, including in the south right here, which is, of course, right along the Egyptian border.
Seeing a lot of yellow there. And of course, that is just here in the last couple of weeks. Cedric, thank you so much for taking us through that. We appreciate it.
You bet, Brianna.
Donald Trump's New York civil fraud trial. Sources tell CNN that lawyers for the former president had discussions with Judge Engoron on allowing Trump to speak in his defense during closing arguments tomorrow.
That's right. But we've now learned. What do you make of this move by the judge in the Trump case?
Well, on the one hand, it's bad for the judge to first say that he was
serious.
It's supposed to be serious. Yeah, it's supposed to be serious, and it would have turned into a political speech and declaring war on the deep state and all of the above is beyond me.
Outside, Ron, the likelihood that Trump wanted to use this as a platform to give what amounts to a campaign speech. I mean, he has said that he's going to appeal this decision. So legally, in the process, what justification other than campaign motives would there be for Trump to seek this?
That's a really interesting point. Okay, now to the drama. There is some clear hypocrisy on this idea of congressional subpoena. It should mean something, Elliot,
yes,
right? But we hear Jim Jordan talking to our Melanie Zanona, and he's saying this is blatant contempt. And it's like, dude, you defied a member of Congress, and you defied a congressional subpoena to talk about clearly something that you should have talked about.
Jim Jordan himself, now the chair of the